In this video, we want to dive into the menace of oil exploration in Africa and its environmental and human impacts to the host communities. Oil pollution, spills, and waste dumping have seriously damaged agricultural lands in some oil-producing countries in Africa, with Niger Delta region of Nigeria as a case study. The exploitation of oil in the Niger Delta region has brought to bear oil spillage and its numerous problems. Such problems include contamination of water bodies, danger to aquatic life, and destruction of farmlands. Oil pollution in the Niger Delta kills fish, their food sources and fish larvae, and damages the ability of fish to reproduce, causing both immediate damage and long-term harm to fish stocks. Africa is a region abundant in natural resources and rich in vast oil reserves. In recent years, a number of African economies have seen an accelerated GDP growth rate. In many cases, the petroleum industry has played a pivotal role in this growth. Some would see the widespread presence of oil as a route to unlocking growth and securing development in the region. However, a number of oil-rich countries have become victims to the resource curse, a term reserved for those countries which have a wealth in minerals, fuels, and resources, but tend to have less economic growth and worse development outcomes than countries with fewer natural resources. A wealth of sorrow. Why Nigeria's abundant oil reserves are really a curse. The careless nature of oil operations in Nigeria has made the environment increasingly uninhabitable. The industry has created serious health and environmental pollution problems for the country in general, and the host communities in particular. Large tracts of rainforest and mangrove ecosystems have been cleared or degraded by the oil extraction process. Nigeria flares more gas per barrel of oil extracted than any other country in the world, contributing to global warming and creating serious health hazards for communities located near gas flares. In Nigeria, oil has been more of a curse than a blessing. Oil extraction in Nigeria has caused extensive environmental degradation and health problems in many Nigerian communities, particularly in the ecologically sensitive Niger Delta, where nearly all of the oil extraction takes place. The reasons for this are complex and have roots in Nigeria's colonial past. The Nigerian economy is largely reliant on its petroleum resources, which, in conjunction with governmental corruption and high international demand for Nigerian oil, has created a system where environmental externalities are largely ignored. Oil was first discovered in commercial quantities in the Niger Delta region in 1956 at Oloibiri, in the present-day Bayelsa State. Other discoveries soon followed, and exports began in 1958, although significant quantities only began to flow from 1965, with the completion of a terminal on Bonny Island in Rivers State, and pipelines to feed the terminal. Multinational oil companies, with little stake in the development and environment of Nigeria, are responsible for most of the extraction projects and subsequent environmental damage. However, the Nigerian federal government has failed to effectively regulate these projects. Communities in the Niger Delta bear nearly all of the environmental burden of oil extraction, but see very little of the economic benefits. The main environmental impacts of oil extraction are oil spills, land use change, and gas flaring. Oil spills are very common in the Niger Delta. Cleanup efforts are often inadequate, resulting in loss of delicate ecosystems as well as fisheries and farmland. Large tracts of rainforest and mangrove ecosystems have been cleared or degraded by the oil extraction process. Nigeria flares more gas per barrel of oil extracted than any other country in the world, contributing to global warming and creating serious health hazards for communities located near gas flares. The subject of extensive research, the resource curse or paradox of plenty, points to an inverse relationship where wealth brings a detrimental impact. Nigeria, the largest oil producer in Africa, the sixth largest global exporter, holds the 10th largest proven oil reserve in the world, is arguably such a cursed nation. Resource wealth can have a devastating impact. Oil exporting nations such as Nigeria, Venezuela, Angola, and DRC have seen livelihoods and economies devastated, but there have been many countries throughout history, such as Norway, Canada, and Botswana, who have bucked the curse through strong state management and institutions that can stand against corruption. Oil booms have brought unprecedented wealth and development to some countries, while in others this has not been the case. The latter is attributed to the resource curse phenomenon, which has been explained by the Dutch disease, and more recently by poor quality institutions. To what extent and at what cost, human and environmental, will oil shape the future of Africa? How will this dwindling resource cope with rapid extraction and trade at a time when global energy demands are ever increasing? And why is the wealth from overseas trade in oil not passing down to the citizens of developing countries? In Nigeria, crude oil production has long been linked to air, water, and food pollution. Now, new research from a German institute called CICIFO shows just how badly this pollution is affecting public health outcomes. And the damage, researchers found, starts in the womb. In a working paper, scientists Anna Brudel and Roland Hodler wrote that babies are almost twice as likely to die in the first 30 days of their life if their mothers were living by an oil spill before they became pregnant. Oil spills are common in Nigeria, where major oil companies and illegal refiners harvest fossil fuels from the oil-rich Niger Delta region. A 2013 paper published in the Nigerian Medical Journal estimated that about 240,000 barrels of crude oil are spilled into local waterways every year. While Nigeria's economy is dependent on oil, Nigeria's environment is suffering from the pollution linked to both legal and illegal methods of refining. Those who traditionally relied on the land and water for their livelihoods are finding it harder and harder to produce uncontaminated food, as toxic byproducts from the refining process seep into rivers, streams, and soils. The oil spills in the Niger Delta region have acute and long-term effects on human health. Material relief and immediate and long-term medical care are recommended, irrespective of the cause of the spill, to ensure that the potential health effects of exposures to the spills are properly addressed. The Niger Delta is the fan-shaped area of about 70,000 square kilometers in the southern part of Nigeria, through which River Niger and River Benue empty into the Atlantic Ocean. It is basically a huge floodplain, formed primarily by centuries of silt, washed down by the rivers Niger and Benue, and crisscrossed by a web of creeks that link together the main rivers of Benin, Boni, Brass, Cross, Forcados, Kwa Ivo, Nun, and other rivulets and streams. The Niger Delta region is a region of dense cultural diversity. Although it forms 7.5% of Nigeria's total landmass, it is inhabited by at least 25 million people in 9 states and 186 local government areas. The indigenous people are from roughly 40 ethnic groups and speak an estimated 250 dialects. The oil spills often resulted in contamination of surface water with hydrocarbons and trace metals, as measured using atomic spectrometry. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe to our channel.